from below, setting up its body, my body, waking for the day. Sleepless, I still take myself to that room, feel the tap of feet, Vaporetti's rough chug, water's lap, duck, flow of history. This one is called Tango, and I'm going to read you somebody else's poem first, because this poem is a golden shovel, which, if you're not familiar with it, is a poem where the word at the end of each line is a word from somebody else's poem. So this is a very short poem called On Time by Rabindranath Tagore. The butterfly counts not months but moments, and has time enough. Time is a wealth of change, but the clock in its parody makes it mere change and no wealth. Let your life lightly dance on the edges of time, like dew on the tip of a leaf. So that's his poem. And my poem, each line of my poem ends with the words in order from his poem. So it's called Shovel. Okay. So it's called Tango. It's September. My garden fades, but the buddleia still blooms, and a white butterfly shrinks time between purple blossoms. It counts as summer still, if what you want is not a season named only by its months and the equinoctial command, but what we see, what we feel inside, moment when the heart resists the movement to fall and maintains its warm rhythm, the tango that has us moving our bodies to its beat in time, syncopated like butterflies until enough. Open step, forward, cross, back, cross. Time, counting steps to that double beat, is one way growing older, gives us a rhythm to our days. Time is where our wealth is. We shed the responsibilities of a youth not misspent enough. Our bodies change, stiffen and ache. Hearing diminishes, but tango is a feeling that is danced, in the words of Jorge Luis Borges. The clock is ticking on our lives, but here, in the dance of four legs and one heart, it's still summer. To youth, we seem a parody of romance, as if dark hair, smooth skin, makes the image of love. But like the butterfly, it flutters the heart as an embrace, as a mere kiss. Loves change and die, lives change, steps change, as seasons change, as flowers die, and we take those open steps, that forward cross, no time to waste, because our time is our wealth. When minds open to tango's darkness, heart lets us sink back to the passions where it began. Your mind, if you are young, may see the life of the old as one to be taken lightly, but here, in the sexy power of a dance, a tango dancer takes on romance, takes on presence, connects movements and music, the rise and fall of melody as she edges towards some beats, hesitates on others, finds ways of turning, rocking, rising and sinking. Time shrinks like a syncopated beat, or like the end of summer when morning dew puddles heavy where butterflies can drink, on the narrow serrated buddleia leaves, the bush in my yard where a butterfly on the tip of a purple blossom sips the last of its nectar and soaks up sun before taking a light and fluttering flight to a new leaf.
There is still life in our old bodies. Thank you, Jenny. Mike from Turner.
Thank you. Kind of another garden poem, if that was a poem about gardens, kind of. It's called Like Spiders on Tomatoes. Two left on the vine, bloody red as the valleys dawn. moist with almost frost, hazy dew eager to drip onto the season's long parched soil. I can feel the tickle, the nerve-ending shiver, as grasping, squeezing, firmly in palm, I twist off one for the evening's repast. Dark green fingers caress the backs of my hands. An intimacy of growth and harvest, dark green clinging to the tops, vegetative embrace, plumbing into the moist core, buried amongst chambers and seed. It's about puddle stomping if it rains and you ever feel like stomping puddles. Never pass up a puddle, the opportunity to stomp an element, pound the pavement and pack the dirt, foot to earth to rhythm rising back up to the skull. Ricochet joints ache in song as sunlight sounds, full lit blue tossing cotton with heavy undersides, something steel lining the depths. Throw your smile at everything in the river of passing time. These flying moments, the best of days, gifting warmth that stayed. This one's called Pavlov's Daughter. The air fryer chime goes off, and from rooms away I hear an angelic voice exclaim, "I'm coming!" iPad forgotten, videos no longer entertaining, toys drop, ball pit balls spill across the floor in a tidal wave of excitement and energy. The chime has called, an aroma fills the air. Nuggets are ready! Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And Mark Sweetum is the next person, right?
So last weekend I was at the Winthrop Library. Jay and some others had the Veterans for Peace over there. They were sharing their poetry, and it got me to thinking. I'm a veteran myself. My father's a veteran. Both of my brothers are veterans. One or more of us has fought in every war since the Korean War to the Second Gulf War. I'm like a child of an alcoholic who himself became an alcoholic. I'm like the guy who walks into an AA meeting drunk and sits at the back on the back row and never says anything. The Veterans for Peace, they're like Alcoholics Anonymous, but they're the conscience for the country. An agent who acts as a repository for truth, a standard against which we can fling our guilt and grievances, for the very act of speaking aloud in the presence of knowing ears causes falsehood to come crashing to the ground with a thud, and we escape the meaningless babble of if a tree falls and there is no one. Even if it were possible to hurt no one but oneself, what are we then? No one? And if there is a God, and he or she is loving and therefore just, would they be any less offended if I found a way to hurt only myself? But surely my companions see through me as easily as I through them. And if they still do, if some of them still do, if some of them care or perhaps still do care, would they be any less offended if I found a way, to hurt only myself? It must grieve them. And at some point, grief must be turned to anger. For what neighbor would have me do unto them as I have done unto me? The greater evil, of course, is the affirmation I give to a habit of disgracing the spirit that God gave to me, making it callous, hard, and indifferent to the spirit that breathed the breath of life into me. My example proclaiming that somehow this sort of behavior is acceptable, that the path I have chosen is a valid option, or worse still, that my condition was inevitable because there is no hope. All of these lies paraded before my confessor become lame, and the dim light of the confessional shines like the noonday sun, and the sin of self-deception shrivels like a vampire, and its power to suck the lifeblood of truth out of my soul is vanquished in the radiance of redemption. And I, like the sick man on his pallet, hear the words, "Your sins are forgiven." And like him, I rise and walk, and walking, I begin to tread a path to the temple where I might rejoice in my healing, and everyone will be happy for me. But the way is steep, and the stones of the step are uneven, and my feet, unfamiliar with forgiveness, stumble and fall. And falling, I behold my own handiwork, a rough path cobbled together with those who have wounded and offended me. And so, some with their heads held high and their arms crossed in the satisfaction of my complicity in my suffering. Others, their hands extended on the arms of hope that they too will receive absolution. And so, at each step of the way, I reset the stones with the mortar of, "As we forgive those." The way is slow, and the mortar mixed with tears, but the path is smooth for others, and we find our strength in peace.
The radiance of redemption. That's a great phrase. Thank you, Mark. Jay Franzel.
Hello, a couple of quick announcements. First Friday in December, there's a poetry reading in Hollowell at 7 o'clock. First Friday in December at 7 o'clock, that's December 6th. There's a poetry reading at the Blanchard Gallery. It's right on the main drag in Hollowell. It's followed by an open mic. About a week later, the second Saturday, so that would be the 14th in Winthrop at 1 o'clock. Same setup, 2 features followed by an open mic. And the next day in Portland, there's a Lowry's Lodge at the Jewish Museum that afternoon. So a lot of poetry going on. Hope you can make it to one or more of those. I'm going to read a quick poem by Jason Whitney. I got a few marked. I'll read this one. The book's called Bear, Coyote, Raven. The poem's called Coyote. Walks along the trail of the Milky Way. Dust seeks dust. Wild seeks wild. He hears the moon calling. She is light years away, leaving dust in his eyes, seeds of dreams as light waxes and wild wanes.
Thank you, Jay. I'm Dave Moreau, and I'm next. And this is called The Moment I Realized Trump Would Be President. And this is written in 2017.
Tell us how you really feel, Dave.
We were at that place in the Catskills my sister rented. The whole family. June 2016. There's still plenty of light out when my dad and I set out walking after supper down the hill. But there's no shoulder and no good place to walk. So we circle back to where the whole family is. All right. We circle back to where most of the family is settled onto lawn chairs. Trump had just won the nomination, and my dad can't help himself. Don't you think that guy is evil? Almost everyone deserts the conversation ASAP to go play Texas Hold'em in the rec room. I assure the rest, the guy will be a footnote in history. But my brother shakes his head. I don't know. The people I work with aren't going to vote for Hillary. When the Clintons were in power, they treated the military like their personal servants. Then my nephew, the smart one, the Navy sent to MIT, pours kerosene on the campfire by saying, I think it'd be cool to see what would happen if that guy gets in there. No one wants to say any more. And my dad and I finish walking, single file, up Route 235 toward the crest of the hill. The crows are crocking and Joe Moreau is ranting, how can they all like that guy? When a Ford 350 4x4 tops the hill flying, going as fast as a Ford 350 4x4 can go, barely a foot from our elbows. It's tailwind, a push towards the gutter. I didn't know that could happen. A tailwind, a push towards the gutter. Like the driver doesn't see two people foolish enough to be walking by the side of the road. Doesn't see or doesn't care is the way the line should be.
That's why we read them out.
Blabbermouth. I read somewhere the person who does the most talking always considers it a better conversation. So I know that if I want people to like talking to me, I should let other people talk. But I'm a blabbermouth. I'm always finding myself telling the talking dog joke. You know, that dog's a liar. He never did half that stuff. Or telling about the woman at the store who wouldn't let me return the coffee grinder even though the top was cracked in the box when I bought it. What are you gonna do? Make it so I never work retail? She actually said that to me. when I'll realize I don't remember the last thing the other person said, or actually if they've said anything, and it's unlikely they'll consider this a good conversation. So I try to cut back, but I'm like the federal government trying to reduce spending. I'm still running a deficit. What I say compared to what I let other people say. And it's not like I'm figuring out nuclear fusion or calming the Russians and the Ukrainians. Donald Trump in his office high is unlikely to say, I heard what Dave Moreau said the other night at Vanderbrews, and by golly, I'm gonna have to change the way I look at things. No, my opinions are worth the same as the VHS movies we all have in America in our rented storage units. The Blues Brothers, High School Musical, The Gods Must Be Crazy, The Lion King.
That must be crazy.
Is that correct?
Yes. I don't know where my pen is.
Need a pen?
Come on down. Welcome.
He did a Cure song, actually.
Hello. So I didn't even know this was happening tonight. I just stumbled in here for dinner and then found out it was happening. I am a musician. I generally write songs, but there is a poem that I wrote a handful of months back. I'm using an unlit cigarette as a prop.
Give us a throwback, just light it up.
Inhale. Exhale. The smoke hurts my eyes. It's getting harder to see you through it. Even as the sun rises over us, every kiss and every mistake, every promise we wish we didn't break. As it falls into my lungs and keeps me grounded, I try to squint. But if I stare too long, it hurts my vision. No longer of us, just me and you, individual yet indistinguishable forever. Inhale. Exhale. The smoke hurts my eyes, even though I'm the one who blew it. Thank you.
Wayne from Wyndham.
Yeah, Wayne. Yeah, Wayne. I'll come up.
4 minutes, huh? Mike Tyson can do 2, I can do 4. So this first one, I just recently went to a seminar that, a workshop that Dennis put on. And I was introduced to epistolary poems, and which I never really gave a second thought. And after attending that workshop, I kind of fell in love with them. I've been doing a lot of them lately, and so I just wanted to share one with you. And I think I have something in the works. I think I'm doing a lot of these, not exclusively, but I want to share one with you. And for those of you that don't know, an epistolary poem is a letter poem. It's like a poem that's written to somebody or something. It could be an inanimate object, so this one here is to the future, okay? And it's called Dear Future. Dear Future, we've never met, but I hope to someday. If we do meet, you might not recognize me. I'll be a hobbling old man bent by the past. I'm most likely assisted by a pretty young lady. I know I'll lean on her in your presence. Now, she's 9 years old and leans on me. I'm writing this because I have a favor to ask. I worry I'll be unable to introduce the two of you. In the event we never meet, I only ask that you give this young lady a chance to survive, a chance to thrive, a chance to change the world. A world whose compass needle spins vertiginously. People give her the chance to, please give her the chance to spread love and be the panacea of cruelty and sadness. Please give her the opportunity to bring you joy like she has me. And I know she will someday write a letter to her future while loving her past. So this one is just just another nature poem. I have an affinity with nature and the woods and the wild. And I think there's poetry everywhere we go, everywhere we step, everywhere we look. So this one here is called The Sadness of Beauty and the Juxtaposition of Fall. My soul marinating in nature. Sunlight, reflecting off golden leaves, warming my face and my heart. Sadness and peacefulness overlap like different colored fabric woven together, unable to tell where one begins and the other ends. I want to sob as I smile with my eyes closed, and I could still see the colors. I'm lonely and entertained by the ripples in the autumn pond that I can see with my skin. My own sad shadow interrupts the saffron reflection of the leaves on the subtle leeward bank. The straight birches look like moonbeams on the water from multiple moons, and the moon always makes me sad and peaceful. And a cry of loons float by, adding to the afternoon's scenic loneliness. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. So, Joe from Lewiston?
You're not Lewiston shit. You're not Lewiston.
Hello, I've got a couple poems for you. So these are mostly older. This first one, so back in 2019, 2020, I did a micro chapbook, so it's like 7-ish pages instead of 20, for Ghost City Press. It's called I Love Godzilla 2000. All the poems are about Godzilla. This is the first poem. So the title is Finally Start Eating the Noodles First. And then there's an epigraph. You see, if you follow Sylvia Winter and Hortense Spillers and how they've been taken up by Catherine McKittrick and Alexander Wahile, you might see black writing, no matter the genre, as writing after the end of the world by those not considered to have survived. First of all, I agree there is a certain beauty in endings, the state where new things start. I don't know my favorite version of you, but my favorite Godzilla is always when he defeats the monster and can attend to burning the city down. God, that look in his eye, determination, so much more than during the fight. I know you have your claws. I have seen that look in your eye too, watching sunsets burn the horizon. Look down at your hands. Now look at me. I want to kiss them. Don't understand how you go around all day touching things that don't fall apart when you touch them. At a table, tearing open a package of chopsticks so you can rub their tips together and pinch. Running them over a workbench, wondering where you could have left your tools. Thumbing through your phone for a podcast, your blue-collar hands at rest in flakes of paint. I fall apart just looking at them. I want to see them again, wrapped around a liberal cup of hot chocolate, preempting with a fingertip pirouette to keep the whipped cream from your nose. It's a little more dignified, true, but still it's hard to handle. If sugar ceased to exist, your fingers would be the next sweetest. And one more for you. This one is Imperative Moods for Mac. Take Lima on morning walk to Block End Bakery. Pick up milk for tea in bed. Come back to bed, and then later, try to find the beach that allows dogs in daytime. Get caught by a few raindrops, scrape sand from your feet, barefoot in the wet street outside of your new apartment. We can wash our feet in the bathtub, plug drain with bandana and jar lid. 11 a.m. isn't too early to nurse a Corona or to go back to bed with a book. So go back to bed, just hold me more. Sleep away the day in a circle of arms and don't say goodbye. And don't say goodbye until it's dark again. Tell me I reminded you of things you forgot you could feel. Say goodnight, little rabbit, and feel them again. Feel them always. Thank you.
Throwing heat. Jesus. Woo. Heat
Like to keep it spicy.
Throwing heat tonight. God damn.
You know, the world is not easy for young people in Lewiston, Maine, but they have Alexander. So, graders, come on down.
Is that one of the reasons?
I swear I only contribute to the positive. So Thanksgiving poems and November poems. I'm always writing, trying to look back on old stuff, but the next one's always better. So this one's called My Cranberry Sauce. You were the last turkey in my heart, so I let the stuffing spill out for 400 years, far past the end of any musket shot in cold Plymouth Rock. I had to go back to primordial Lewiston. I stood on the bridge watching the water crash off the rocks. There I heard nothing but the rustling of pine needles.